Welcome back. Just wanted to share with you guys my thoughts on Evander Kane this afternoon. So we got the news from NHL player safety that Evander Kane has been suspended one game for his hit on Nazem Kadri in Game 3 last night. It was a vicious hit. A lot of debate on it both ways as to how dirty it was, but I think we all pretty much knew with Evander Kane and his history that we're probably looking at least a one-game suspension, and that's what comes to pass. So the Oilers, going into a deciding Game 4, will be without Evander Kane. But obviously the bigger question now, was this Evander Kane's last game as an Edmonton Oiler, which is obviously a distinct possibility. The Oilers, if they lose tomorrow night, are done for the year. Evander Kane will become an unrestricted free agent on July 13th, free to sign with whatever team he wants, depending on how things go with the San Jose Sharks and getting his contract termination worked out. It could be ruled that Evander Kane is still a San Jose Shark. He goes back to the San Jose Sharks. The Oilers, if they want him, would have to reacquire him from San Jose unless San Jose buys out his contract. Or there's a whole bunch of factors that come into play there. But obviously, Evander Kane could become a San Jose Shark, could remain an Edmonton Oiler, or could sign with any other team in the NHL that he chooses to, depending on who wants him, who can afford his asking price. But the big question, like I said, did we just witness Evander Kane's last game as an Edmonton Oiler? Personally, I hope not. Evander Kane has had a huge impact on the Oilers. 39 points in 43 games, I believe it was. He's been on a torrid scoring pace for the Oilers in the playoffs, a couple hat-tricks, some really big goals for this team. He's been that left winger, it seemed, that Connor McDavid has always needed. He fits in well with Connor. He plays well with Draisaitl. He's basically the perfect top six winger for the Oilers. You can see in some of the behind-the-scenes videos, Evander Kane's endeared himself to his teammates. His teammates really like him. There's been no issues that have followed Evander Kane throughout his career here in Edmonton. So, does he stay in Edmonton? That's obviously the $4, $5, $6 million question, right? Obviously, we can't answer that right now. It's far too early. But I did just want to give my initial thoughts on this because we could be facing that situation. I was lucky enough to be gifted a ticket for tomorrow night's game by one of the subscribers here, Chris. Really grateful for that. Really looking forward to seeing Game 4. Get to go to 2 playoff games in a row. Extremely fortunate. So really hope the Oilers can find a way to pull off one final win, at least, for the hometown crowd tomorrow night. If it is the end tomorrow night, it is potentially the end for Evander Kane as an Edmonton Oiler. Like I said, I want to see him back. He had a great impact in the regular season. He had a great impact in the playoffs. It's not like he just came in, scored in the regular season, but was a ghost in the playoffs. He's produced for the Oilers regular season, playoffs. He's earned a new contract with this team. The Oilers have a lot to do this summer. Jesse Puljujarvi, Kyler Yamamoto, just a few names that are up. Very limited cap space. The Oilers are going to have around $7 million to play with. If Oscar Klefbom's on long-term injured reserve, that frees up another $4 million. But obviously the Oilers are going to have to find ways to create more cap space this summer, whether it's moving a Zach Kassian, whether it's moving a Tyson Barrie. Does Mike Smith retire? Does Duncan Keith retire? I don't see that for either Keith or Smith, but you never know. Those could be huge advantages for the Oilers if those guys do decide to call it a career. That could free up significant cap space that they need, but that might be wishful thinking at this point. But bottom line, Evander Kane, has he played his last game as an Edmonton Oiler? I don't think he has. I think we will see Evander Kane back as an Edmonton Oiler next year. I think there's desire on the Oilers' side. I think there's desire on Kane's side. I think he's seen how well he can fit here, and I don't think he's going to find that fit anywhere else in the NHL. I think we've seen Evander Kane flourish as an Edmonton Oiler. He's been able to keep his nose clean here. You haven't heard about any off-ice issues between the Oilers and Kane, and you know if something did happen, the reporters are going to dig it up. Everybody's looking for a story on Evander Kane, and there's been no story between the Oilers and Kane to find. Apparently there's some stuff with his ex-wife. She's here in Edmonton, but that's not related to the Oilers and Kane. And as far as the Oilers and Kane go, it's been a harmonious relationship. I think it's a relationship both sides are going to try to continue going forward. Those are my initial thoughts on it, guys. We're going to see what happens here over the next couple months. Does Evander Kane remain an Oiler? What do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. But like I said, I think Evander Kane is here next season. At what term? At what price? I'm kind of hoping somewhere around $4 or $5 million a season, possibly 3 to 4 years. I think that's the ideal amount of time. You don't want to be signing Kane any longer than that. Obviously, with any Evander Kane contract, given his history, there is certainly a risk. I'm not saying there isn't. All I'm saying is Evander Kane has been a near perfect fit with the Oilers. He's been that top six winger they've been looking for years, and I think it would be a shame to give him up now. The Oilers have guys coming like Dylan Holloway. Can they step right in and replace Evander Kane? I think that's a tall task. That's a lot to ask of a young player. I'd rather let these guys break in slowly, see what they can do. Speaking of Dylan Holloway, with Evander Kane's suspension, do we see him in Game 4 tomorrow night? I think this would certainly help his cause. Whether it happens, time will tell. But that's all for now, guys. Like I said, just wanted to give you my initial thoughts on the Evander Kane suspension and his possible future with the Edmonton Oilers. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If this is your first visit to the channel and you like what you see, please consider liking and subscribing for all the latest Oilers content. You've been watching the Oilers Fanatic. Thanks for being a fan. Game 4 tomorrow, absolute must win for the Oilers. Let's hope they can get it done. Take care, guys. See you soon.